Hello and welcome everybody back to End of Life Conversations, where we talk about all things life and death and in between. And today, myself, Ana Luisa Armendariz, along with my good fellas, are going to be discussing what is life? Are we
Yeah,
living?
yeah, that's important. We talk about death all the time. So, yeah, we just had a guest on this morning and we were talking to her about, well, what about life? How well are you taking care of living your life? So,
That's
so we'll
right.
talk about that. So, and I'm Reverend Joaquin David Matthews, and welcome everybody. Good to have you here.
And I'm Sam Lee Zemke. And today I'm editor and silly sloth. I'm a
Silly sloth. Ooh,
silly sloth today.
I love
Aw.
it. That's
Well,
probably
silly
how you show
sloth.
up. That's probably how you would show up on Google right now, right?
That's right. Well, and I love silly sloth because it means that we are playful and loving with each other and
Slowing down.
in slowing down in this very accelerated age where we are constantly tethered to information, to and I want to say phones. I mean, I think most people have phones that they're always checking in on with random things. And this morning's conversation with one of our in our episode with End of Life Conversations, we chatted with Ashley, who really gave me a new perspective. I really am grateful for that conversation. I love to ask people about how they're going to die, have they planned for death, you know, like tell me all your like death ideas. And it really puts some people off. It's very stressful to think about dying. And she mentioned why people are stressed. They don't want to live a life without their loved one here, or that is a real conflict. Like we know
Yeah.
we're going to die, and then there's this already loss that happens before people actually pass away. But she likes to start conversations is how are you living? And I really want to address that today because death is it's a book, it's a chapter end. You've got birth and death, and in between that dash, we
Yeah.
have life. So how are we living? How are we remembering others, our favorite books, our favorite moonrises? I mean, that
Yeah.
is part of living, and let's talk about that.
Yeah. 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 So
So, like,
there's there's also part of that is recognizing the loss and grief that goes on when we can't get the things done we want to get done, right? Or
that's right.
when we notice that, wow, I've been wanting to read that book for 6 months. It's still
Yes.
sitting on the shelf.
Yes. Yes. I think that's a really interesting piece about being attentive to the end of life. I mean, I think in the last year I've maybe accelerated my ideas of dying. Um, I don't know why, but it's been very important for me to like clean my drawers and, update my all my paperwork. And is that really like don't want to forget that I still have this life that I'm here. I don't know when I'm going, and I'm fussing over dying right now so much that, I haven't gone out camping this winter. So I'm like, what? What's going on? So it behooves us to recognize the losses, the little losses that we end up accruing day after day.
Mhm.
Um, I find myself thinking about that so often, like the people that I haven't seen if I walk at a different time or the birds. I do have this sense of loss and grief, and then I keep going because I got to do the next thing. Trash bins
Yeah.
have to get taken out, dogs have to get walked, and it has me reckoning right now with what am I doing in this life, in this moment.
Mhm.
And yes,
Mhm.
I'm excited to transition out of this world because I'm very curious about the next one. And I have to start being present here again,
Okay.
again, and
Still,
again.
yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, silly sloth, what do you think?
I think that is such a noble struggle
It is.
to stay
It is.
present, and the world is really hard to stay present with right now.
I
It's really, really,
agree.
really hard to stay present with. And
Yeah.
I've been in a similar sort of challenge place around um, noticing where I'm not engaging in my life in the way that I want to.
Mhm.
I'm doing cool stuff. I'm, I'm keeping going, but inside the presence, the the joy, motivation, the like desire to engage with life feels so far away most of the time. And it took like a pretty big intentional undertaking to really take a day and just be like, I'm gonna take the whole day
Mm-hmm.
to just tap in.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Tap out to tap in.
exactly. Yeah.
Boop, boop.
Tune in, check and drop out. What was it?
Yeah. Right. Is it
Something like
Ramdas?
that.
No.
Yeah, it
Who
was
was it?
Ramdas, I think.
Yeah.
And it
Or Timothy
my day,
Leary. I think it was Timothy Leary.
I
one
think
of
it
the
was Timothy
two
Leary. Yeah. They're all the same.
was very close to me in that day. Very,
Yeah.
very close. I spent a lot of time with those guys in particular.
Uh-huh.
And the juggling of an existence of contrasts, while also holding sort of like non-dualism of
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, I can tell this story, this story, this story, and the opposite is true, but I don't necessarily have to go down the opposite path.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to, I think in a like shadow work, grief work world, kind of like what you're talking about, Ana Luisa, is like we spend so much time with death. I spend so much time with grief, so much time with the suffering of the world
Mm-hmm.
that I can lose my
Yeah.
connection with the life side, with the joy side.
Yeah.
And so in this day, I was really uh, blessed to be able to tap into like, oh, I can end this thought process with a smile on my face and laughing at the absurdity of like
Mm-hmm.
the horrors and the beauty existing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I can say today, like my work is to help normalize sitting with the crunchy, griefy, shadowy sides.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not always the medicine that I need.
Right.
Right.
Sometimes the medicine that I need is to step out of that place
Yeah.
and go sit in the sun.
And be
Yeah.
silly and dance and
Yeah.
whistle
Yeah.
and yeah, I totally hear you, Sam. It is constant paradox.
Yeah.
And it's threading that needle, like that fine edge between the two so you can dance between both sides and not get swept into one or the other. Because, when I'm like doing a lot of things and I'm really busy and I'm like, I'm producing. And then it's like, it's not, that doesn't actually fulfill either. I want to like sit in the compost and the earth and the death and I don't know, the putrid sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a cultural thing for us. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
value is attached to production, right? Value is attached to creating money,
Something,
to
right.
producing money. And we have the indexes are all about, how much product can we create? How much can we create more product today than we did yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
And can we continue to do that indefinitely? And turns out we can't. And so for those of us, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier about that not everybody is wrapped up in that so deeply, or not everybody's so connected to it or tied to that way of being. But for those of us who choose to try not to be, it's still a part of our lives. It's still a part of
Right.
our DNA,
Right.
and so it takes a conscious effort. It takes
Yep.
really in setting that intention and then following through with that intention to, I'm going to have half-hour free time, or maybe a whole day. I'm going to take a day. I'm going to have a Sabbath. Sabbath is what
Yeah.
it's Shabbat.
Yep.
To just say, I have nothing to do today except be in silence. Maybe
Yep.
sit by a tree. Maybe take a walk. Maybe talk to somebody. Maybe teach somebody how to knit. I love that one that she talked
I
about.
know.
Just to give teach somebody
Yeah.
something. Any of those things,
Yeah.
but just be present and be connected to life. Yeah.
It's
This
hard.
precious life.
It's
Yeah.
so hard. I have to, as a mom, as a single mom, I keep my calendar, and it used to be that I'd keep my Wednesdays for hiking.
Mm,
And inevitably, somebody has a doctor's appointment, the car needs to go in, like, and it's the only day you're offered.
right.
And there goes, like, 4-hour chunk of my Wednesday, and then I'm like, I give up. And I really am I'm bitter that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
capitalist grind, the stuff grind usurps living.
Hmm.
And, uh, my daughter really wants me to go see a doctor about my physical stuff is going on. And it's like, it'll be 4 hours, right? It'll be like an hour drive, sitting in there. And I was like, that is not a value that I hold anymore. Like, I kind of really need to figure this out some other way, because on the road, you got to get your car there. You got, like, I don't want to be doing those things as much anymore. I really feel like I need those times by the tree.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be bothered. Like, stop, 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 stop. I mean, I have 2 walks per day with my dog, and I love my morning walk because it's very quiet. 30 minutes to 45 minutes, walking in alleys. It's like my favorite. I don't see people, and it is such a joyful time for me. I need more of those.
Yes.
I need
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that'll be life. That's the life I'm wanting to remind myself is essential for me to end up at whatever, like in 5 minutes or 50 years, whatever, Ashley said this morning. Um, I will have, like, really flourished as a spirit in a carcass, right? Like in my meat packet.
Yeah.
My meat packet will have taken this soul to experience, the beloved's gaze on this world. It's like, I want that so desperately,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm
Yeah.
still, like, in love with death. Like,
I think that's a really important piece you speak to, and as we're talking about this, it's that the contrasting piece
Hmm.
mhm.
of of the grind,
Yeah.
and it's not just the cultural impetus to grind. It's also that we are in a time where, not to get too risque in our politicking or anything, but the reality of how much harder it is just to materially exist right now,
Yes.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
much of a luxury it is to slow down, to take a half an hour during your
Yeah.
day. If
Yeah.
you're working 60 hours a week, if you're working
Mhm.
3 jobs
Mhm.
just to make your rent and just to put food on the table and still going into debt and all of these
Mhm.
things, like, how?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How do you even find, like, it's all well and good to say, yeah, take the time and slow down and pump the
Mhm.
brakes and be the parachute and, you know, and
Mhm.
and try to, pull back on careening towards the cliff. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
everything is designed
Mhm.
to keep us engaged in that stream of more
Yes.
active do, and to see none of the reward even of that,
Yeah.
which would be, I work really hard and so I can take a vacation, or
Mhm.
I get my weekends off, or things
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's maybe just negative Nancying
I don't think
this,
so.
but
I
it's
think
just,
that's
it's a hard piece in the world right
Yeah.
now.
No, it's a
I feel very
reality.
it's a
lucky.
reality.
I feel very lucky that I can take a day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What a privilege to be able to take a day and say, I'm so disconnected, I need to get in touch.
Hmm.
Partially
Right.
Yeah.
because the work that I do is contingent on me doing that.
Right.
Right.
But yeah.
I think it's important it's not negative Nancy. It's, again, living in the paradox of what we're doing right now, and not everyone will have that luxury.
Yeah.
And like when Wakil asked Ashley, like, like, there are people who won't have access to dropping out and driving across country and hanging out and doing these really fun things. And it occurred to me, it's like, this is where we do better by showing up for others when we can, right?
Yeah.
Showing up for others means, like, people who are grinding in these jobs that are super soulfully difficult,
Hmm.
and being kind, right?
Yeah.
showing up, teaching somebody, showing up, gifting somebody, um, watering trees that need watering in some random place. Like,
Mm.
my kid, I have to tell you a story. My kids got really mad at me the other day, as usual. But there's a lot between an apartment building and another apartment setting where a lot of these very young people end up congregating, and they play bocce, they have little cookouts, and I always see them and talk to them, and it's kind of a very social little place. But in the last 6 months, somebody's had a dog that's just been pooping in there. And so every time I see somebody, I'm like, "Hey, like, what's up with the poop? Like, whose dog?" And all of them were like, "I don't know, but it's gross and, like, it's everywhere." And I'm like, "I know." So my kids are like, "Well, why don't you go clean it up?" And I'm like, "It's not my dog." Uh, I don't think it's my responsibility. Um, and in this conversation today, it's like, I should have just gone to go pick up that
Mm.
poop.
Mm.
I resent it because I'm like, it's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
But it is such a sweet space for so many young people to hang out. They come out and smoke cigarettes. Um, they bought a blow up pool last summer, and we all just kind of like, I mean, these are like 20, 30-year-olds, right? And I'm like,
Nice.
yeah. And so I'm the old lady who always shows up and hangs out with them too. So why didn't I go clean up the poop? Because that is a place where people needed to have clean so that they can congregate, right?
Yeah.
I think it's those little things that I need to like be aware of that could contribute to somebody else's ease,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, there's that awareness of caring for each other and finding
Yeah.
ways every day we can do that. So that's wonderful. But there's also, I think it's also important to be compassionate with yourself and and because we're not gonna do these things. We're not gonna be able to do all the things we want to do. All these things we're talking about are hard, and
Mhm.
it's another trap, I think, to fall into. Oh, I should have, I should have, I should have.
Yeah. You're right.
And not like my teacher used to say, don't should all over yourself. And um, so trying not to do
That's a good
that,
one.
and that's just about compassion for your own work. I did the best I can, and
Yeah.
that teaches. It's also a lesson. Okay, so maybe now I know
Mhm.
the next time I see poop on the ground, I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to bring my
Yeah.
little poop dog thing, even though I
Yep.
don't have a dog.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No, I know. And I guess this is how we live, right? This is how we
Yeah,
serve. This is how we contribute to others
and how we learn. Yeah,
getting a chance to really enjoy something.
yeah, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think those are the baby steps that we can take towards a more easeful world for everyone.
For
yeah,
everyone. That's right.
Everyone. If we can share our
Mhm.
whatever luxuries, whatever
yeah,
privileges we have
Mhm.
right.
of space and time, if we have it, to share that to increase, spread it around.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And then
that's the
fight.
responsibility that we get when we get privilege. It
Right.
comes with it, right?
Mhm.
Go ahead,
Mhm.
Sam. Sorry.
Oh, just and that on to also not get caught in the trap of just individual level things.
Yeah.
Mm,
Because then
Mhm.
I think about it a lot again with like economic inequality that,
Mhm. Mhm.
the time and time again we see that those with less are much more generous with the little that they
Yeah.
have.
it's true. Yeah.
But that can lead to sharing less and less with each other. We're
Mm.
Mhm.
spreading it around more
Hmm.
because we are compassionate and we have empathy, but and we know what lack is like. We know what scarcity is like in our own selves, and so we don't want other people to experience that in the same way.
Mhm.
But that can leave us all diminished. And so there is
Mhm.
the systemic work of how do we, I'm just going to say it in these terms, claw back the
Mm.
time
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
ourselves and for each other on a
Yeah.
Mhm.
larger scale.
Yeah.
And again, baby steps and doing a community cleanup can be a good way to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or mutual aid, which is what I
Mutual
I
aid.
like I
Yeah.
like to cook
Mhm.
for folks on Sundays.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that I love that because that is in service to our brothers and sisters, and it gives my life, like, the grind is not just for me, it's for our all
Yeah.
those that, around me, so
Yeah. And that mutual aid model can extend so nicely to so many different things. I was just talking to somebody this weekend about the idea of mutual aid for helping people who don't have anybody to be their healthcare agent, right?
Mhm.
And to gather a group of elders together or just a
Mhm.
community together and say, let's help each other out. Let's be there for
Mhm.
each other. Let's
Mhm.
get to know each other and trust each other enough that we could be each other's healthcare agents, or we could help each other with
Right.
going to the doctor or whatever, but it's just gathering it, basically what mutual aid ends up being, in no matter what the goal is finding a community of people willing to be in connection with each other and be
Right.
present with each other and say,
Mhm.
what do you need today and how can I be of service to you?
Mhm.
And that can be a spiritual community, but it can also just be your neighbors, or
Yeah.
both, and I think just having that intention and setting that intention and working toward that in everything we do is one way to live this life to the fullest, right?
Mhm. I agree. I love that.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna put a plug in for doing more moonrise watching because life is short. You never know how many times you're gonna get a chance to go smell the roses or
Yeah.
sit on the back porch and just sit and do nothing. But when I was in my 20s, I read The Sheltering Sky, and this quote just struck me that I had to keep the book, and I've often thought about it. But Paul Bowles, who wrote The Sheltering Sky, says, "How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood? Some afternoon that's so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it.
Mm.
Perhaps 4 or 5 times more. Perhaps not even that. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Perhaps 20? And yet it all seems limitless. So go out and
Mm.
live. Go out and live.
Yeah. Turns out it's not limitless.
It's not limitless.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good maybe suggestion or something to offer our audience. Think of something in your life that is just something you love more than anything else, and how many times are you going to get to do it, and just
Mm-hmm.
find ways to get there,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's helping others, serving others, maybe that's cooking a meal, maybe it's teaching somebody a recipe. There's so many ways that we get and give love and compassion and life to each other. So
And listen to your favorite songs more.
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
And
Listen to your
dance.
favorite songs and dance.
Yeah, dance, yeah, no
Dance.
matter
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
Everybody can dance, everybody can sing, no matter what your teachers told you.
Yes. Ugh. Or ex-husband.
Especially what they told you.
Yes, I say sit in a corner and be sweet on your body, no matter what it can or can't do. But look at your hands, how much they do for you, and
Yeah,
just be sweet on yourself.
yeah, yeah. Beautiful. Well, I appreciate you both very much. And so let's say our goodbyes, I think, unless you all have one more thought.
Nope,
That's it.
that's it. And write us if you listen to this and think of other things that we could do to support one another in our living.
Yeah, in our
Yes.
life. Yeah. So please tell all your friends, subscribe, do all that stuff that helps us.
Yep.
And we'll see you again next time. Much love.
Adios.
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 Grief and loss, conversations about the end of life.
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to Charles Heston, the composer of the original music you are listening to now.
And of course, thanks to you, our audience, and all of our amazing guests. Please come back next week for another great episode. Share this with your friends, family, and community. We hope you will subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Substack. Each guest's additional information will be found in the podcast notes. And of course, if you have a good end-of-life story to share, please reach out. We are always eager to hear from you.